Today we're going to talk about lines in the coordinate plane. And you're going to be writing equations of lines, given the slope and a point, or given 2 points. So the first thing you want to write down is forms of the equation of a line. Okay? You can write the equation of a line a couple of different ways. There's actually 4 ways. One way is what's called point-slope form. When you write an equation of a line in point-slope form, the equation looks like the letter y, and then you write the opposite of the y value given, and that's read as y minus y sub 1. And it's equal to m, which is the symbol for slope, and then in parentheses the letter x, and then the opposite of the x coordinate given, which is read x minus x1, x sub 1. And that's when m is the slope, and x sub 1, y sub 1 is a point on the line. Yes?
What is that little thing after the line is
Sub 1. Slope-intercept form. Probably more familiar with this. That's when y is equal to mx plus b. Where m is the slope, and b is the y-intercept. Point, slope, slope-intercept. And then the 2 other forms of a line are just when you have a vertical line. All right, so vertical line. And that's going to be x equals a, and then it's where, or let's say when, or where a is the x-intercept. So a vertical line is always an x equals, and it's x equals a number, and the number is wherever the line hits the x-axis. And then the last type of line is a horizontal line, or the last form of an equation is a horizontal line. And that's y equals a, And that's where A is the y-intercept. Good? All right, so look at the top of page 191. We'll do some examples now. Writing equations of lines. And on the top of that page, you're asked to write an equation of each line in the given form. So they ask for the line with slope 3, through 2, 1, in point slope form. Billy, stop that, please.
So,
A line with slope 3 through 2, 1 in point slope form. So here's how you write the equation. The standard form for point slope is y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. All you do now is replace. Okay? You replace the y sub 1 with whatever the y value is in the point that the line's going through. So the equation would start off like y minus 1 equals, m represents the slope, and the slope is 3. So 3 times x minus, and then the x sub 1 that's given, which is 2. That's it. That's an equation of a line that goes through with the slope of 3 that goes through 2, 1 in point slope form. Okay? Make sense? Let's do one where, let's say the slope is -2 through -5, -6. And we're going to do it in point slope form again. So now, this is where you have to be careful, is when these coordinates are negative. Now you're going to have the letter y. All right? And then instead of a minus -6, you're going to have a +6. Standard form is minus the y value given, but you're not going to write minus -6.
these two negatives equal.
Well, because subtracting a negative is the same thing as adding.
Yeah.
We're not talking about multiplication where a negative times a negative is a positive. You would not write this, y minus -6.
But I always taught like when that happens, you would have before.
When that happens, you do this.
Yeah, that's what you do.
But you're not even going to do that. You're just going to write y plus 6. Equals the slope, -2, times x plus 5. And that's the equation of the line in point slope form. Now, to get a line from point slope form, if you want it in slope intercept form, look what you have to do. The easiest way to write an equation of a line is in point slope form. But sometimes you'll be asked to write the equation in slope intercept form, and all you'll be given is 2 points. So you write the equation in point slope form first. You then distribute the slope. So you would have y plus 6 equals -2x minus 10. And then solve for y. If you subtract 6 from each side, then y is going to be equal to negative 2x minus 16. The second equation is in slope-intercept form. The first equation that we wrote was in point-slope. Understood? All right, so now let's write an equation of a line.
Hold on. Can you go ahead? Thank you. I didn't like that last part. Alright,
We're going to write an equation of a line that goes through. Zero, 4. And negative 1, 2 in slope-intercept form. What's missing?
the slopes.
Slope's missing. So you're going to find the slope. The formula for slope is y sub 2 minus y sub 1, or m equals y sub 2 minus y sub 1 divided by x2 minus x1. So your slope in this case is going to be 2 minus 4 divided by negative 1 minus 0. 2 minus 4 is negative 2, and negative 1 minus 0 would be negative 1, and negative 2 over negative 1 would be positive 2. So now you've got a slope. They want it in slope-intercept form. Some of you right now can look at the problem and notice where the y-intercept is. If there's a point on the line at 0, 4, where does that line hit the y-axis? At 4, right? So you could go directly to slope-intercept form. Because slope-intercept form, wouldn't that be y equals 2x plus 4? Because in slope-intercept form, this is the slope and this is the y-intercept. Okay? Now, if you can't do that, the easiest thing to do is to take this point and take this slope and write it in point-slope form first, because we just did that and it was really easy. So you would take y minus 2 equals 2 times x plus 1. That's the line in point-slope form, agreed? And then to get it from point-slope to slope-intercept, just solve for y. Do the distributive property first. So y minus 2 would equal 2x plus 2. And then add 2 to each side. And you're right back to where you were a second ago, y equals 2x plus 4. Yes?
Why couldn't you use 0, 4?
Yeah.
What you could have.
Okay, that would have been the same thing.
You would have done the distributive property, you would have added 4 to each side.
Why were you allowed to use 0, 4?
You can use either point because they're both on the line. If you would have used the 0, 4, okay, you would have had y minus 0 equals 2 times x minus 4, right? So you would have had y minus 0 equals 2x. What's going on here? Now I got my points backwards.
The y is, oh yeah, the y is 4.
This would have been y minus 4 equals 2 times x minus 0. If you did the distributive property, you'd get 2x. You're not going to write minus 0 again. And then you would add 4 to each side. and you're going to get y equals 2x plus 4.
Either way, they're both the same.
They have to be. Because you're still only talking about one line, aren't you? So whether you noticed that this was a y-intercept in the very beginning and just used it and wrote it in slope-intercept form, you would have gotten 2x plus 4. If you would have wrote it in point-slope form using this point, you would have gotten y equals 2x plus 4. If you would have wrote it in point-slope form using the first point and then solved for y, you would have gotten y equals 2x plus 4. Because we're only talking about one line. So it has to have the same equation in slope-intercept form. Do you guys understand that? All right, good, good, good. How about a line with x-intercept 2 and y-intercept of 3 in point slope?
Sorry.
They're giving you two coordinates of the line, but they're giving it to you in a different way. If a line has an x-intercept of 2, it hits the line at 2, doesn't it? Right here. Or the line hits the x-axis at 2, so what would the coordinates of that point be?
2, 0.
2, 0. If that same line hits the y-intercept at 3, what are the coordinates of that point?
0,
0, 3. They just gave you the two coordinates, but they gave you it in a different format. So you're going to have to find the slope. So your m would be equal to 0 minus 3 divided by 2 minus 0. y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. 0 minus 3, you're going to have negative 3 over 2. So they want it in point slope form. So let's use this point. In point slope form, it's going to look like y. It would be minus 0 equals negative 3 over 2. And in parentheses, x minus 2. That's it. Now, see this y minus 0?
You can just go y.
You don't write the y minus 0. Alright? So you can just write y. That's if you use that point. If you use this point, then you're going to have y minus 3 equals, the slope is still the same, isn't it? Negative 3 over 2 times x minus 0. In this case, you can write the x minus 0. You're probably not going to see it that way. You're going to see it like this. Y minus 3 equals negative 3 over 2 x. You may see it both ways. Understand that means that if you see it this way, that the x value of one of the points is 0. If you see it this way, the y value of one of the points is 0. All right, so does anybody have any questions? Your assignment for today is on page 194. One through 4. And then 13 through 15. And be sure to check Edline tonight for homework.